Hey guys, what's up? I'm just shuffling up the king deck here. I was getting that ready beforehand so you wouldn't have to watch me dig through cards for no reason. So I'm going to build my Ant-Man Marvel Champions deck, which is right here. I'm going to start from scratch, and then I'm going to play around against King, because King is a new villain I haven't tried before. So let me just put this aside so he's ready to fight when we're done building here. All right, so Ant-Man. Actually, let me go through the rules of the game real quick for if you haven't played or anything, and then the deck building rules. So Marvel Champions is a deck construction cooperative game where you are you build your own deck outside of the game, or you can play with the deck that comes with each hero comes with a pre-built deck. But I think it's more fun to build them. But you take this hero into a battle against some villain. For today we're going to do King, but there's several villains you can pick from in the modular sets that you shuffle them together and you have a villain deck. Basically you're trying to kill them before they complete their scheme or kill all of you. On your turn you have several options of what you can do. You can use any of your I forget what they call them exactly, but powers here. So each hero has 3 different powers, and then each alter ego has recovery power. And what these do is thwart. You have to tap or exhaust. Sorry, don't sue me for using magic terms. You tap your hero, and then you can thwart 2, which would take 2 scheme or 2 threat off of a scheme. So threat on a scheme basically is there's going to be a card that'll look something like this on the villain side, and if it gets enough tokens on it that are threat, then it'll move on to the next step of their scheme, or eventually if we get too much on it, it will lose. So this is one way to get rid of that threat. So you're taking away from their scheme card. The next thing you do, again, you have to tap, is attack, and that will deal 1 damage to, well, this one is 1, sometimes it's more. And then I can show you up there closer. These 3 numbers on the side. So the thwart, the attack, and then the defense. The defense will block that much damage when you tap them when you get attacked. So you have to make sure not to use it if you plan on defending when they attack, because the attack comes after. And then on the other side, the recovery power, the yellow number there, that recovery power will heal you for that much. And again, you have to tap the card for any of those. So you can only use one of them essentially per turn. That is one of the actions you can do. Another action you can do is to play cards. So you'll have a hand of cards that'll look something like this. This is just a random example. On the top here, it has a number. That's the cost to play the card. On the bottom, every single card is going to have an icon here. There are 4 different types of icons. There's the lightning bolt, the fist, the green one, and then the science icon. Those are the different types of resources in the game. The green one being a wild and can replace any of the other 3. And you have to discard cards from your hand to generate those resources. So in order to play this card here, I would have to discard 3 resources worth of cards out of my hand. For the most part, most of the cards do not require any specific type of resource, but some of the abilities do. Some of them will make you pay like a fist to deal an extra damage or something like that. So the type of resource usually more matters for the types of abilities you have in your deck, not necessarily the cards. I haven't seen any cards that require a specific type of resource. So that's how you play cards. The other thing is that you're going to have allies like this one. They're going to have a thwart and an attack. So the only difference between the heroes one is that they don't have a defense and their health is here. So the difference being whenever they do that attack, underneath it'll tell you how much damage they take from doing it. So if I were to thwart with Wasp here, she would take a damage. Basically, so I'm going to have 3 uses of Wasp before she's going to die. They can also block for you when the villain attacks, and usually will kill them. You can do on cards that are in play. So there's allies that will come and play and stay in play. There's events that will you play them and do what they say, and then they go in the discard pile. There are upgrades and supports. Upgrades will attach to your hero and give them some other abilities, and then supports are just things that'll stay in play. I mention all those because the ones that'll stay in play sometimes have actions on them that you can do on your turn. So if it says action on it, you can do it during your turn. Sometimes it'll say hero action on it, which means you can only do it if you're in your hero form, which I'll get to in a minute. Or it might say alter ego action, which you can only use when you're in your alter ego form. So speaking of forms, the hero cards are double-sided. So on each side of the card, you have your alter ego form and your hero form. So once per turn, you can flip this card over to the opposite side. Well, that's going to do a couple things for you. One, it's going to make those abilities I mentioned, some hero abilities you can only use while you're hero, alter ego abilities you can only use while you're alter ego. Second is that the other sides of these, the hero and the alter ego side, they both have different abilities on them. So if you want to use the ability on the alter ego side, you obviously have to be on the alter ego side. If you need to heal your character, you have to be on the alter ego side in order to use that recovery ability. Or if you want to attack, thwart, or defend yourself, you have to be on the hero side. And then the last thing it does, it also dictates how the villain is going to react to you. So if you are in your hero form, the villain is going to attack you. If you are in your alter ego form, the villain is going to instead work on his side scheme or his main scheme. He's basically going to work on his plan for whatever world domination type of thing is going on. So that being said, it's also strategic to if you're low on life, you might want to switch to your alter ego side so you don't get killed. Give yourself some time to heal up. And then also if the villain's scheme is almost completed, you probably want to flip to the hero side to distract him from working on that and have him attack you instead. That is about the extent of things you can do on your turn. It's play cards, flip over your thing, use any abilities you have on your cards. You can also, this doesn't really apply to me most of the time because I 90% of the time play this game solo, but you can also request actions from other players. So if other players have actions on the board that you'd like them to use for you, you can request that they use that for you on your turn. And then the last thing I didn't mention about these hero and alter ego sides is on the very bottom there, it also has a hand size and a hit point value. So that's your health and then your hand size. At the end of your turn, you're going to draw up to your hand size, and your hand size might be different depending on your alter ego or your hero side. Usually the alter ego hand size is higher. So if you want to draw extra cards, you want to be on the alter ego side. This particular character is interesting and different because he has 3 sides. So he has his alter ego side, he has his Ant-Man tiny side, and he has his Ant-Man large size. Getting into the deck building, each hero has a set of 15 cards that you must include with the deck. There are 4 different types of aspects that are different colored cards: yellow, red, green, and blue, being justice, aggression, leadership, and defense. When you're building your deck, you get to pick one of these colors, and that's the only color that can be added to your 15 cards. But in addition to that color, there is a colorless gray stack of basic cards that can be included in any deck. For each individual card, you're only allowed to have 3 copies in your deck. There are some restrictions about other rules that usually are printed on the card. So like it might say restricted 3, meaning you can, well, that's the basic rule. It might say restricted 2, meaning you can only have 2 in your deck. It might say restriction 1 per player, which means if you're playing with multiple people, only 1 can be in play throughout the people at a time. If it has a little asterisk up there, like right next to where it says WASP, you can only have 1 copy of that card in play at a time. It's a little weird too that it has to be the exact same card title and subtitle. So if there is another card printed in the future that is also Wasp Nadia Van Dyne, that's a different card, I can't have this card and that card in play because it's the same name. But I can have Wasp Nadia Van Dyne and Wasp some other subtitle at the same time. And I bring that up only because in this deck there is an Ant-Man, and then there's another Ant-Man card that is Hank Pym, and this one is not Hank Pym. So you can have both of those Ant-Mans in play at a time. But anyway, that's like minutia stuff. So the way I'm going to deck build is I'm going to first go through all of the base cards and see, because these are the ones I have to include in my deck, and see what kind of direction this deck is going already and try to like capitalize on that. So the first thing I notice that I want to try to capitalize on is that these abilities on the Ant-Man card. So the ability on the civilian side is whenever you change to this form, you can heal a damage. The tiny Ant-Man size is whenever you change to this form, you get to remove a threat. And then the large one is whenever you change to this form, you get to deal 1 damage. So I think I'm going to try to get, because again, you can only change forms once per turn. But I think I want to maybe try to get cards that will let me do that more often. Like it'll break that rule of 1 per turn. So I'm going to see if there's any cards that will let me try to change form more than once a turn to capitalize on those abilities, because that sounds like it might be a good idea. And I'm also more about doing things that are fun than necessarily good ideas. And this sounds fun. So I'm going to try to look for that, but then I'm also going to look through this starting deck here and see what we have. So we have Wasp. She is an Aerial Avenger. She has Thwart 2 and Attack 2, 3 health. She has a hero response. So a response is something that you do when it is triggered, and it'll tell you in the text when it's triggered. So this one, I have to be in hero form to do it. After Wasp enters play, I can deal 2 damage to an enemy if you are in giant hero form, or remove 2 threat from a scheme if you're in tiny hero form. So that's kind of going along with already what we have with the different forms of Ant-Man. So it sounds like this deck depends really a lot on what his form is going to be in. Next card we have is Giant Stomp. Play only if you're in giant hero form. Hero action, deal 1 damage to each minion and 8 damage to an enemy. So that's really good, and especially for being that inexpensive for only 3, dealing 8 damage is pretty good. But again, it's depending on me being in giant form, so I think I really have to make sure that my form is flexible at any time. Hive Mind, Thwart Tiny. It's an event. Play only if you're in your tiny hero form. Remove 2 threat from a scheme. Remove 1 additional threat from the scheme for each army of ants support you control. So that's going to be the name of another card, which I don't know if it's going to be. Yep, there it is. It's already included in the deck. So basically, it's going to get better if I have more of those other cards in play. Resize. So action, hero action. Change to your other hero form and draw a card. So more of these types of cards is what I was going to be looking for. So I'm already starting with 2 of those. This card is a resource card. So what that means is it can only be used as a resource. It doesn't have any abilities or things you can do with it. So it says hero response. And again, response is going to be triggered. After you spend this card, heal 2 damage from your hero if you're in giant form, or draw a card if you're in tiny form. So it's a wild resource that also is going to maybe heal me or do something for me. So I get 2 of those. Army of Ants is a support, so it's going to stay in play. It has a hero action on it. If you're in tiny hero form, I may exhaust Army of Ants and deal 1 damage to an enemy. So there's 3 of those. And then I have some upgrades here. So I have Ant-Man's helmet. Hero response. After you change to giant form, heal 2 from your hero. Hero response is second ability. After you change to tiny form, draw a card. And then giant strength, hero response. After you change to giant form, I get a +1 attack to the end of the turn. And there's 2 of those. And then the last one I have is wrist gauntlets. Hero action. If you are in giant form, exhaust wrist gauntlets. Spend 2 fist resources to stun an enemy. So stun is a condition that makes it like lose its attack. There's one that makes it lose its action. So those are good to have on them. And then hero action, a second one. If you're in tiny hero form, exhaust wrist gauntlets, pay 2 energy resources, and confuse an enemy. So that's the other what do you call it? Effect that'll cause him to lose his scheme action. So yeah, so it sounds like the starting 15 cards already go with the sort of thing I wanted to do here. So I'm going to start digging through the different aspects, looking at the cards and seeing if I see anything that pops out at me that I want to go with, because I really don't know what aspect I want to start with. The base deck started with the leadership aspect, which has a bunch of allies and stuff like that. I already have a Captain America deck, which I have allies, so I kind of maybe want to avoid that. But I know there's some good cards in there that started in this deck that I'm probably going to add to it. If you guys want to have any suggestions, if you have built this deck, if you played this deck, if you other decks, other cards that you're aware of, or even just completely off topic, please feel free to join any discussion in chat. And to that topic, I'm going to put up some questions every once in a while. I'm going to start with, if you play Marvel Champions, what's your favorite character? Tell me about them, why you like them, how the deck plays, if it's a good deck, if it's a bad deck. I personally don't care if it's good or bad. I just like having fun with it. I think my favorite so far has probably been Captain Marvel, because she's got that card in there that just does a ton of damage with the electricity resource symbols, and it's just really fun to try to get that maximize, and I think it's pretty good. But all right, so looking through the yellow cards, we have Quake. After a minion schemes, exhaust Quake and deal 2 damage to that minion. Agent Coulson enters play. Research. Search a card from your deck for a preparation card. So preparation card is going to have, all the decks have little keywords on here. I didn't see any preparations in this deck. Condition, armor, ants. Yeah, I don't see any preparations. So I'm not going to be using Agent Coulson. Jessica Jones gets +1 thwart for each side scheme in play. That's going to be more dependent on the villain than the hero you're playing. Response for Daredevil. Daredevil thwarts. Whenever he thwarts, he can deal 1 damage to an enemy, so he's pretty versatile. Spider-Man. After you play Spider-Man from your hand, remove 3 threat from a side scheme. That's cool. 2 of them. All right, so we're in events now. So I didn't see any allies that really jumped out at me for this deck, so I'm probably going to skip the yellow for now. I'll come back to it later. I just don't want to dig through all these cards only to decide I'm not going to use them anyway. But because allies, I think, are pretty important in the game in general, and I don't see any allies there that are particularly exciting, I'm going to move on to red and check out the allies here. All right, so for red allies, we have She-Hulk. She-Hulk gets +1 attack for each damage token on her. Okay. Tigra attacks and defeats a minion. Heal 1 damage from her. After Valkyrie enters play, deal 2 damage to a minion, 3 damage instead if you paid for this card using an electric resource. This looks like it doesn't have a whole ton of electric resources in this starting deck. So if I do that, I got to make sure I have a lot of electric resources. Spider-Girl, when you play her from her hand, you can confuse a minion. Hulk, I love Hulk. I would put him in every deck if I could. So Hulk can't thwart. He attacks for 3. When he attacks, you discard the top card of your deck. If it's a fist, he deals 2 damage to an enemy. If it's a lightning bolt, he deals 1 damage to each other character, which are the heroes. If he gets a science, you discard Hulk, and if it's a wild, you do all of the above. It's just so random and funny and actually thematic. So, I mean, science, he turns back into Bruce Banner and Hulk goes away. I think it's funny. I really like it. I also like trying to make sure that I have mostly fists in that deck and try to make it as hurty as possible. It's fun. But another Spider-Girl. Where'd Spider-Girl go? Another Valkyrie. All right, Brawn is a 5 health, 1/1. After Brawn attacks, remove 1 threat from a scheme. Okay. Another Tigra. Sentry. After Sentry enters play under your control, deal yourself 1 encounter card. So encounter cards are the villains cards that are going to do bad things to you in general. So I think the reason for that is you don't want to do that, but he's got a high attack for a villain. He's got a really high health for an ally. So I think it's just to balance the card a little bit, to give you a little bit of a detriment to such a good card. Hercules, reduce the cost to play Hercules by 1 for each minion engaged with you. Okay. All right, so red looks like maybe. Let's check out green, our protection. All right, we got Clea. When Clea is defeated, shuffle her into her owner's deck. Black Widow. When a card is revealed from the encounter deck, exhaust Black Widow, spend a science resource, and cancel the effects of that card and discard it. And then reveal another encounter card from the deck. Brother Voodoo. After Brother Voodoo enters play, search the top 5 cards of your deck for an event card and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck. So if those cards, which make me switch, the resize cards that allow me to change my other hero form, they are events and they're free. So this Voodoo guy would allow me to go get them and then immediately play it because it's free. So that sounds like something I probably want to add. So maybe we'll think about going with green. So I'm going to look through the whole stack of green here and see what else we have. Toughness enters play with a toughness card. Iron Fist. Iron Fist enters play with 2 mystic counters on him. Mystic, a lot of cards have various counters. They're just green counters and they name them something thematic, but the name of the counter doesn't really matter. Just know that it has 2 charges. And then it has a response. When Iron Fist attacks an enemy, you can remove one of those mystic counters from him and stun that enemy and deal damage to it. So, I mean, I have some cards in this Ant-Man deck that are dealing statuses to them. So maybe I can go with that also as like a little sub theme. So maybe I'll throw in anything that's going to be throwing out conditions. So Luke Cage has a condition on him. Iron Fist gets conditions. Nova. When an enemy initiates attack against you, spend an energy resource to deal 2 damage to that enemy. That just sounds fun. And since I think I'm probably going with green based on those other, I'm going to start pulling out every card that I think is cool, and then I'll pare down later. So that's usually how I deck build is I'll go in and I'll put a huge pile of cards of all the cards I like that work well, that I think are fun. And then I'll go through and decide which ones are actually going to be good in that deck and which ones aren't, because I'm probably going to end up with way too many. All right, Counterpunch. We're into events now. After your hero defends against an enemy attack, deal damage to that enemy equal to your attack. So we got attack small 1 and an attack large of 3. So I can use this Counterpunch as big Ant-Man to get pretty good damage on him. So I'm going to use that, 3 of those. Hero Interrupt. When your hero defends against an attack, it gets +3 defense. So again, this one's going to defend and be able to do damage. So this defense here, well, let's see what his defense is. Defense is 2 on the and 3 on the big side. We'll throw it in. We can always pull it out later if we decide it's not going to work. Desperate Defense. Hero Interrupt. When your hero defends against an attack, it gets +2 defense for that attack. If you take no damage from that attack, ready your hero. So ready is the untap version. So this is just a slightly better version of this card, and it costs 1. I think, though, since it is a slightly better version and it has the electric resource, which I think we already decided in some other cards that we need that. Electric and Fists is what I noticed the abilities we're calling for. I think I'd rather use those because they have the resource I need and it's slightly better. So I'll go ahead and take out Expert Defense and replace it with Desperate Defense. All right, so another event. When a boost card is turned face up while the villain attacks, cancel all boost icons on that card. Then deal 1 damage to the villain for each boost icon canceled this way. So that's a rule I didn't get to. It's part of the villain's actions. But basically, when the villain attacks you or thwarts, you're going to draw a card, and it's going to have a random number of boost icons on it that are on the bottom of the card that look like this. If I can find the camera. There we go. Come on, focus. Anyway, it's those 3 little stars on the bottom. There we go. It's going to add that much to his attack or to his thwart when he thwarts. So that's what this is talking about. It's talking about canceling those icons and then dealing damage with those icons. Usually it's 0 to 2, 3. The one I showed you right now is 3 is pretty uncommon for it to be that high. So I don't know if this is going to be that great. I'll skip it for now. Hero Interrupt. When a treachery card is revealed from the encounter deck, cancel its when revealed effects. The villain attacks you instead. Okay, so this every round again on the villain's turn, you're going to play a card on yourself, or the villain's going to play a card on you rather. A lot of those cards, when revealed, meaning when you draw them, it's going to do something. The other thing, it could be villains, it could be minions, it could be other schemes for them to do. So I don't know. This sounds fairly good. Again, we'll take it out if it's not great, but it sounds like I can get him to attack me instead of. I don't know. It's not a forced response. So the difference between a response and a forced response is a response I can choose to do or interrupt. Forced response is something that has to happen if the triggering event happens. Okay, so another event, hero action, heal 3 damage from Spider-Woman, give her a tough status card. So this is a little weird one. This is a, it came in the Spider-Woman deck, and it is both a protection card and a Spider-Woman card. So unless I have Spider-Woman in the deck, this card is not going to do any good. I have a Spider-Girl, but nah, I'm not going to do that. All right, momentum shift. Hero action, heal 2 damage from your hero, deal 2 damage to an enemy. That sounds cool. Let's do that. Second wind, heal 4 damage from an identity. So an identity is any player's card. 5 damage instead if you paid for using science. I don't think we have a whole lot of science in here. No, we got a lot of aggression, and we don't necessarily want the science because we need the aggression and the energy. So skip those. Attack, stun an enemy. If you paid for this card using a fist resource, deal 3 damage to the enemy. So that definitely is going to go in because that has the fist resources, which we're putting in anyway. It has the statuses we're trying to put in there anyway. So that's definitely staying in. All right, so now we're on upgrades. With upgrades and allies, I didn't mention, you can only have 3 in play at a time. So you don't want to stack a whole deck full of a ton of these because you're not going to be able to play them all. So say, play under any player's control, max 1 per player. Your hero gets +1 defense. No, that doesn't sound very necessary. Upgrade. After your hero defends, discard Indomitable and ready your hero. So it sounds like that would be good. Play under any player's control, max 1 per player. Response, after you defend against an attack, you take no damage, exhaust unflappable, and draw a card. We'll skip it for now. Play under any player's control, max 1 per player. After you defend against an attack, deal 1 damage to the attacking character. 1 damage and damage. All right. Defensive stance, max 1 per player. Hero interrupt. When you would take any amount of damage, discard defensive stance, prevent 3 of that damage. So I think we have enough defense stuff that I don't need to add more. Okay, so energy barrier, 3 reflection counters. Interrupt. When you would take any amount of damage, remove 1 reflection counter from here, prevent 1 of that damage, and deal 1 to an enemy. Yeah, sure. Night Nurse, 3 medical counters. Exhaust the Night Nurse and remove 1 medical counter from her. Heal 1 damage from a hero and discard 1 status from it. Sure. Medical team. 3 medical counters. Enters play with 3 medical counters. When they're gone, discard the card. Exhaust med team and remove 1 medical counter from it. Heal 2 damage from any friendly character. I don't think I need that. All right, so this guy here, there's 1 of these in each color, and I always add them to every deck. So it's resource card, which means it has no ability. It's just a wild resource, but if you use it to play a green card, it counts as 2. So I'm going to put them in, and there is a restriction, so there's only allowed to have 2 per deck. So let's put 2 of those in there. So I think we're pretty solidly going with green. I saw a lot of stuff I liked in here. I'm going to take a real quick look at blue just to see if we're missing anything that I have to have. But let's look a little bit. Let's see. Skip the events for now. Let's go to the allies. So these are the ones that came with it. So Ant-Man, Hank Pym gets +1 hit point for each Pym counter on him. Interrupt. When Ant-Man enters play, place 1 Pym counter on him to a maximum of 4 for each resource you overpaid. So he's free, but you can overpay for him. He sounds kind of fun, but not necessarily needs to go in this deck. I can always add him to, he's an Avenger, and my Captain America deck is an Avenger deck, so he might be going in there. Giant Man gets +2 attack while he has 3 or more remaining hit points. Ronin gets +1 thwart and +1 attack while an upgrade is attached to him. Stinger, play if your identity has the Avenger trait. Stinger does not count against your ally limit. That's probably going to go in my Iron Man deck. So I think I don't want to go with blue because all the blue ones that came with Ant-Man I actually want for my Captain America deck. As an additional cost for Wonder Man, you must discard 1 card from your hand. Maria Hill. So I think these allies I'm familiar with, and I don't really want to put any of them in. I'm just going to scan the new events that I got with this deck to see if any of them really have to be in this deck. Hero interrupt. When you use your basic thwart power or basic attack power, exhaust an ally you control. More ally stuff. Yeah, I'm going to stick with green. I don't think I really need to search through there much more. Although I have the ones that came in the deck right here. Let me just scan these real quick. Come on, there we go. All right, so these are the ones that came with the deck. After you change form, your hero gets +1 thwart, +1 attack, and +1 defense until the end of the round. That's pretty good. Pay the printed cost of an ally in your discard pile and put it into play. Ready an Avenger character you control. Morale boost. These are not necessarily new cards. Give an ally you control a tough status card. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with green. Even though that one card was pretty strong, it's just one card. All right, so I have a stack of green cards that I want to include. I have a stack of Ant-Man cards that I have to include. I'm going to go through the list of basic cards, throw those in there, and then I'm going to start cutting down on size. So the size of the deck should be between 40 and 50 cards. I like to keep it right at 40. It's more dependable to draw the cards you really want as part of a combo, because I like putting cool combos in. With 50 cards in there, you're less likely to draw the combos you need. With 40 cards, you're more likely because there's less to draw from. So I like to keep it right at 40. I'm not sure if there's like tournament rules or anything like that. Usually that dictates like you have to have exactly this many cards in it. But for the deck building rules in the rule book, it says 40 to 50. All right, so looking at allies, after Mockingbird enters play, stun an enemy. So there's a stun. She's a unique character with the little icon, so there's no need to put more than one in her in there. But she does do statuses, which is maybe what I want to play with in this deck a little bit. Nick Fury enters play, choose one, remove 2 threat from a scheme, draw 3 cards, or 4 damage to an enemy at the end of the round. If Nick Fury is still in play, discard him. So he's very versatile. He's pretty good. I don't like him for 2 reasons. One, you have to get rid of him as soon as you play him. I don't like that. And then 2, 4 is kind of a steep cost. So if you imagine you have a hand size of 5, most of the cards have 1 resource on them. You're discarding your whole hand to play Nick Fury, so you really aren't going to get to play a whole lot of other cards that turn or do much else because you won't have any other resources. So Nick Fury, I mean, obviously he comes in almost every deck, so I got a lot of copies of him, and I don't usually use him. Lockjaw, you may put Lockjaw from your discard pile into hold on, I can't read right now. You may play Lockjaw from your discard pile during your turn. Okay. After Heimdall enters play, look at the top 3 cards of your encounter deck, discard one of them, and put the others back in order. The encounter deck is the villain's deck, so you get to see what's coming at you. Swarm Tactics. So this one came with Ant-Man, and I know I'm going to put it in. So team up, Ant-Man and Wasp, max 1 per deck. So team up means both of those characters have to be in play. Ant-Man will always be in play because he's my character, and Wasp is one of his cards that comes in it. We already went through there. So I am going to add this to its event for 1, and it lets me change to my hero form and ready my hero. So it's exactly along the lines with what I want to do. So I really want to get more of those, actually. But in order to get more of those, I got to buy 2 more Ant-Man decks. Maybe not. So anyway, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Exhaust an Avenger character you control. Ready another Avenger character you control. So let me just scan through real quick, see what I have in terms of Avengers. So my hero is an Avenger. I believe Wasp is an Avenger. Wasp is an Avenger as well. It says right there in the middle there. It says Ariel, Avenger. Those are just tag words. They don't do anything on their own, but other cards refer to them, as you're obviously seeing right now. Mockingbird is Shield Spy, Avenger Mystic, Defender, Champion. So no, I don't have a whole lot of Avengers in here, so I'll skip that one. Warning, when a hero would take any amount of damage, reduce that damage by 1. Emergency, when the villain schemes, reduce the amount of threat placed on the scheme by 1. First aid, heal 2 damage from any character. I think I have a lot of defense, and these seem like very. Usually, when you're doing stuff like that, you're probably losing anyway. If like you're reducing it by 1, or if you're need to heal 2 damage. Well, 2 damage isn't going to help you if you're almost dead. So, all right, Haymaker, deal 3 damage to an enemy for 2. All right, remove 2 threat from a scheme. Give your hero a tough status card. More status cards sounds cool. We'll throw those in. Here, that's the same one we just did. Hero action, spend a fist resource, discard this card, and ready your hero. Since we're going with fist resources anyway, we'll throw you in there, and it gives us more of the lightning bolts that we wanted. Exhaust, enhance physique, remove one physical counter for it, generate a fist. So let's throw that in as well. Play only if your identity has the Avenger trait, which it does. Attached to a friendly character, attached character gets +1 and gains the Avenger trait. Don't see a whole lot of great use for that. Preparation skill, hero response. After a boost card is turned face up, discard target card, which is this card. Cancel that card's boost ability, so I don't think we need to do that. Play under any player's control, you get +3 hit points. Play under any player's control, your alter ego gets +2 recovery. Discard resourceful, gain a wild resource. Play only if your character is a spy. It is not, so I can't even play it. All right. Condition hero resource, exhaust, enhance reflexes, remove an energy counter from it, and generate a lightning bolt. Throw that in there. We're probably going to have to pull some of this stuff out because I just don't. I'm going to have too many cards in, and those are just generating resources, which, while good, it's not going to win me the game. Hero resource, exhaust, enhance awareness, remove one mental counter from it, and generate a science resource. Spend a, yeah, this is the one we already put in there. I guess I got to reorganize my cards because they're all out of order. Play only if you have the mystic trait. I don't. Exhaust, team building exercise. Play a card from your hand that shares a trait with your hero, reducing its cost, resource cost by 1. Let's see if that's going to do me any good. So we need to look for Tiny, Giant, and Avenger. And we're looking for play a card from your hand that shares a trait. So any card. So that's Giant, and that would be free. Armor Tech, Ant's Tiny, so that's another one that would be free, but I'd have to be in the right form. Superpower is not going to match. Tiny is going to match. Giant is going to match. I think that probably needs to go in. Avenger matches. Condition, Superpower, Tactic, Shield, Spy, Persona, Item, Tech, Condition, Attack, Defense, Attack, Champion, Defender, and Avenger. So maybe I could put that in. Let's try it. It sounds fun. Decision made. All right. Avengers Tower. Each of your allies has the Avenger trait. If each of your Avengers has the allied... If each of your allies has the Avenger trait, increase your ally limit by 1. They don't, so I'm not going to bother. Play only if your identity has the Avenger trait, which does. Exhaust Quinn Carrier, generate a resource. I got a lot of resource generation already, and this one's an expensive one, so I'm going to skip it. Exhaust Helicarrier, choose a player, reduce the resource cost of the next card that player plays this phase by 1. Again, that's kind of expensive. Max 1 per player, Avengers Mansion. Exhaust Avengers Mansion, choose a player, draw a card. That's generally pretty good, but again, I got a whole stack of cards that are going to have to get pared down, and a 4-cost card is generally, I try to steer away from it because I don't like wasting my whole turn playing one card. Honorary Avenger, that was the one we didn't we already see that? Play only if your identity has the Avenger trait attached to it. Yeah, we already saw this card. I don't know why we're seeing it again. Oh, these are cards I already went over. Yep. All right, so that's it for the basic cards, except for these. These come in every deck, and I include them in every deck. So again, it's much like the other resource card. It's max 1 per deck, and there's 1 for each resource, except for wild. And it's just basically a card that's 2 resources in 1 card. I always add those. They come in every deck. They're very useful. So I always add them. All right, so now we have a good stack of cards that we're going to have to start paring down on. And let's count how we got. This guy does not count towards our deck. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 cards that we have to include. 16, 17, 18, 19. 63. So we have 63 cards we have to cut. No, 63 cards total. So that means we have to cut 13 to 23 cards. I'm going to try to cut 23 because, again, so these ones. So what I usually do is I'll make a pile of cards I might want to keep, cards I definitely want to keep, and then cards I can get rid of. So these ones are definitely keeps, the resource cards. Exhaust Team Building. This is the one that I can play a cost card cheaper if it matches a trait. I want to try to make that work. So I'm going to put that in the maybe pile. And that's also going to help me decide if I'm having a tough decision to cut something. If it doesn't match the traits from Ant-Man, I'll go ahead and cut it. So condition, I think these can come out. The ones that generate resources for me. I think I don't need the lightning bolts as much as I... Yeah, I got to cut 23 cards. Let's start cutting. So I'm going to cut these generating resource ones. This guy here, the hero action, spend a fist and discard this card to ready a hero. That's going to go in the maybe pile. Readying your hero is really good because it lets you use them more than one time, especially if I can use them to like thwart for 2 and then change into big guy and then attack for 3. You know, that's pretty good. So I want to try to keep that. Invulnerable, that can go easy. That's no problem. All it does is add a tough status card, which is good, but for 3, and just I threw it in there just because it's status. We don't need it. Team Up, Ant-Man and Wasp, change that definitely stays. Mockingbird is a maybe. All right, so we get these 2 wild resource generators, those who are staying. The Night Nurse, heal a damage and discard a status. The statuses on my characters are going to be coming from the villain, so it's more dependent on the villain. So she might not even be good if the villain doesn't have a lot of status cards in the deck, so she's going to go. So we got the Energy Barrier. When you would take any amount of damage, remove 1 reflection, prevent a damage, and deal a damage. That can go. After your hero defends, ready your hero. I like that, so that's a maybe. Stun an enemy. If you paid for this card using Fists as a resource, deal 3 to that enemy. So that has to stay. I think we're already trying to go with the fist resource thing because we have it on some of our base cards. I've been paying attention of trying to add a bunch of them. So that can stay. Heal 2 damage from your hero. Deal 2 damage to an enemy. For 2, that's pretty good. And it's a fist resource, so let's keep that in. When treachery card is revealed, so this can go. This is the weird one about making the villain attack me instead of dealing with whatever card I got dealt, which is going to be very situational. I don't need to keep it. All right, Desperate Defense. This is the one where we get +2 defense, and if we take no damage, we can ready our hero. We've got a lot of ready our hero. I think it's really cool to like keep reusing it, and it's got our energy resource, so let's keep that. After your hero defends against an enemy attack, deal damage to that enemy equal to your hero's attack. So this one got better as we added these readying our hero things. So if we end up doing a bunch of stuff for the hero and we can ready at the end of the turn, he'll be able to defend because he'll be readied when the villain attacks, and then we can do damage. So that's going to stay. All right, and then we've got our allies. So with the allies, I definitely want to keep Mr. Avenger, Brother Voodoo, because he searches my top 5 cards and lets me get the ones that let me change form. And he matches Avenger trait with Ant-Man, so he can make use of that other card that'll make him discounted. Iron Fist, so he doesn't match. He does have the right. He has a fist icon. When he attacks an enemy, remove a mystic counter, stun that enemy. I like that. I think, and we don't have a whole lot of allies, so I think I want that to stay. When an enemy initiates attack against you, spend 1 to deal 2 damage to that enemy. Again, we're still going with that. And then Luke Cage, unfortunately, is not interesting enough to keep. So he's just, he just comes in to play with toughness. So he's going to go. So let's see how many we managed to cut. What were we looking at? 23, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So we're looking to cut 6 more. So conveniently, I already have a pile of maybes. So we got to cut 6 of these maybes. Mockingbird's a single card, so she'll probably stay. So if I can cut 2 cards that I have 3 copies each, then that's good, probably good. So exhaust team building exercise. So we did end up putting a lot of cards in there for this team building exercise card, so let's keep that, which leaves us with Indomitable. After your hero defends, discard him, ready hero, and then well, let's see if we can discard one of each of these. So that's 3 cards. We can also discard Mockingbird, 4, and now we need to discard 2 more, which we don't really have to, but I'm OCD about it, so I want to try to cut 2 more. So since I have great cards in here, I don't really want to cut any cards. I think I'm going to cut single copies of cards that I have 3 copies of. So after your hero defends against an enemy attack, that one I can maybe cut one of those. That one I can maybe cut one of those. I really want to keep multiple copies of the events because you play them and they're gone. If I have 3 copies of a support or something like that that's staying in play, I'd rather cut that because I'm more likely to keep it around. But I don't. So yeah, let's cut one of each of those, and now we should be right at 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We're right at 40. All right, so Iron Man, Ant-Man deck is built. I already have Kang put together, so we're gonna fight Kang real quick, and then see what happens. All right, so you start the game in your alter ego form. You shuffle up your deck. Every character comes with a set of arch enemies, villains. You can't do anything about that as far as deck building. It is what it is. And they also have an obligation card. So the obligation card is something that when it comes out of the deck, it's going to go to that player specifically. Again, when you're playing solo, they all go to you anyway. But it's going to slow that player down. It's going to be something in their personal life they have to take care of. So, for example, I have to, for Scott Lang, he has to find someone to take care of his daughter. So that usually goes into the villain deck and gets shuffled in there. But for Kang, it specifically says in the setup to not do that. The other cards, the arch enemy, it's usually a plot and an arch enemy. So this one has, Yellow Jacket and a Yellow Jacket plot. Those will come into play based on a card in the villain deck that will tell you put your henchman or your arch enemy into play or whatever. So those just stay off to the side. It doesn't usually come up because there's one card in the entire villain deck that does it. And the villain deck usually goes through a lot of those cards that are being played as boost cards, so they don't get actually played. All right, so we're going to be fighting Kang. All right, so let's on Kang's main scheme here, it tells us to set up stuff, which I've done most of anyway. So it says set each Kang 2, Kang 3, and Kang's Dominion aside, which I've done. Remove each player's obligation cards from the game. Shuffle the encounter deck. So let's do that. So Kang's deal is that it might not be that interesting solo, so it's probably a poor choice. But so each villain has a couple stages, and you keep track of their health, and then when you kill them, they go to the next stage, and then so on and so forth. But Kang, when you defeat his first stage, he will split the villains up and fight them individually. So you get your own version of Kang when you defeat the first thing. So in multiplayer, it means you can't help each other. You can't play actions for each other. I can't attack somebody else's Kang and help him out. Again, for solo, it's not going to make a difference, but there's a bunch of different versions of Kang. So it's cool that each time you play him, you might get a different version of Kang to fight. So let me get my life counters. The game comes with a bunch of counters. I prefer dice. It's less messy. So I have a bunch of dice in the colors I need. So Scott Lang has 12 hit points. So let's put 12 on the clock. Bank. 12 right there. And let's play over here a little bit. Let's see. All right, so there's my window. Okay, so I have 12 health. And then King starts with, it's 12 per player. So he has 12, but again, that's his first of 2 forms. So it's 12 health, kill him, and then he goes to the next form. So let's go there. All right. So that was his 1A scheme. We flip him over, and it says, King's arrival. King believes that by defeating Earth's mightiest heroes, the rest of the planet will submit to his rule. When revealed, deal each player an encounter card. If this stage is complete, players lose the game. Okay, so that's it. Oh, wait, no, hold on. Hold on. That was 1B. I need 1A, 2A. Oh, yeah. 3A. He's got a bunch of different schemes, so maybe it's a 2A, 1A. 2A. Well, this is confusing. Well, let's just go with it. I'm sure it'll make sense when we play it through. It probably tells you how it works when things happen. All right, so I have King the Conqueror, toughness. So he starts with a status tough card. He has 1 scheme, 2 threat. He is tough. Forced interrupt. When King attacks you, either place 1 threat on the main scheme, or he gets +2 for this attack. When defeated, advance the main scheme to stage 2 at the end of the phase. Well, there you go. That's exactly what I said. It will clear up the confusion by just reading the damn card. Okay, so the toughness card means that next time I deal damage to him, no matter how much damage to him, it's all prevented, and the toughness card goes away. And then over here, it tells you how much threat this starts with, and then every round, I'll go through the villain's turn. It's all, management, upkeeping, no decisions to be made. But every round up here, it tells you he's going to get 1 threat. So he's automatically going to get 1 threat on there every turn. And I have this. All right, so this was, what is this? This is part of that deck, actually. All right, so we have the villain deck, we have Mr. Scott Lang over here, and I get to draw 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so 6 cards. I've got a couple of resource cards. I've got 2 tackles, which is the hero action attack, stun an enemy. If I paid for it with a fist, I can deal 3 damage to that enemy. Okay. So after I change form, so the first thing I want to do is change form, and let's look through my cards. If I'm in giant form, I can exhaust the gauntlets and spend 2. If you spend this card, heal 2 damage while if you're in giant form. Draw a card if you're in tiny form, so maybe I want to be tiny. This is a giant attack. I think I'm going to go tiny. So I'm going to flip my card to tiny. After I change to this form, remove 1 threat from this scheme. That's stupid. No, I'm going to go large because there's no threat on the scheme. I'm not going to waste that. So Ant-Man's big. And response, after I change to this form, deal 1 damage to an enemy. So I'm going to deal 1 damage to King, boop, boop, which gets rid of his toughness card instead of damaging him. All right, so that's done. Now I got cards to play. So I definitely want to get this Risk Gauntlets in play because this is going to give me a bunch of stuns and confusions. I like that. So I'm going to play that with this. I have 2 tackles. So I'll use one of my tackles to play it for 1. So that was 1 resource on there to play this card, which costs 1. It doesn't do anything now, but now I have a hero action that if I'm in giant hero form, I can exhaust it and spend 2 fists to stun an enemy. I do have the 2 fists. I have a wild and I have another tackle, which is a fist. So I could, but let me see if there's any other cards I want to play first. I get to draw a card if I spend this in tiny form. I get to heal 2 damage if I am in giant form. So maybe I want to save that because I don't have 2 to heal from. I can stun him and deal 3 damage to him, or I can I think I'm going to do this giant stomp. So I'm going to spend 1, 2, and there's a third to play a giant stomp. Play only if I'm in giant hero form, which I am. Deal 1 damage to each minion, which there aren't any, but I get to deal 8 damage to an enemy, which will take him down to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now he's at 4 health. Okay, so that's done. So the only card I have left is a resource card. So I'm just going to hang on to that for next turn. So I can't really do any more as far as cards. I don't have 2 resources to do these abilities with. I can use Ant-Man to attack, and since he's big and scary, I will. So he's going to attack for 3. So now Kang is at 1 health. All right, so that is it for the turn. At the end of the turn, that is when you get to draw up and undo everything. So now I get to untap this guy. I get to draw up to 4 this time because big guy can't carry cards, I guess. So I only have 4 cards for next turn. And then it is now the villain's turn. So the first thing that happens on the villain's turn is we look at the scheme and we add that much threat to the scheme. So threat are yellow tokens in the game, so I got yellow dice to represent them. And there's a 1 pip on there. It's going to be hard to see, but there it is. So that's that. This card here tells me that when there's 7 threat on this card, that's when we move on to the next stage, or that's when this stage gets completed. And if this stage gets completed, the players lose the game. So that is done. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at my form to determine what he does. So since I'm in hero form, he's going to attack me. His attack is 2, and we have to draw a boost card. So we draw a boost card, and the only thing we're looking at is these symbols on the bottom, of which there are 2. So he's actually attacking me for 4. So my options here are I can take 4 damage. I can, since I have this counterpunch in my hand, I can, after my hero defends against an enemy attack, deal damage to that enemy equal to your hero's attack, which would kill him. After your hero defends, discard Indomitable to ready my hero. I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to defend 3, so I'll take 1 damage. But since I defended, I can now play this response. After my hero defends against an enemy attack, deal damage to that enemy equal to your hero's attack, which is 3. So I'll deal 3 damage to him, which kills him. So when defeated, advance the main scheme to stage 2 at the end of the phase. So at the end of the villain phase, so we're going to finish up the villain phase before that happens. The villain phase. The last thing to do would be to draw a card. Oh, that other card that was sitting here, that was from the setup. It said to reveal, to deal each player a card. This, at this point, is when you would play it. So here's the one that I should have kept from before. And then, hey, Ruel's here, and Manda Panda. I just built Ant-Man, and now I'm playing against King with my Ant-Man deck that I built. We're only 1 turn in, so we'll see how it goes. So now I have to resolve each of these cards because I should have had one from the setup and then the other one from right now. So when a minion comes into play, it just goes into play. And then if you're playing with multiple players, it is attacking only that player. But, you know, solo, it's just 1 person. So Forced Interrupt, he has when Chitauri Soldier attacks, discard the top card of the encounter deck, take indirect damage equal to the number of boost icons on that card. So boost icons are the icons we showed earlier when I drew the card to give him bonus damage. So that's what that is. Indirect damage means I can distribute it however I want, which right now would only go to Ant-Man, but if I had allies, I could instead give the damage to the allies. And that's what indirect damage means. And then minions will attack at the same time as the villain does. And they work the same way. So like if I'm not in my hero form, the villain won't attack. He will instead scheme, and then he has his health right there. So that was the first card. Second card I have is another minion, which I'll put there, and that is he has Guard and Retaliate 1. So Guard, these you can look up. These are keywords that have abilities, but Guard means that I can't attack the villain until he is gone. I could attack this one, but Guard means you can't attack the villain unless this Guard person is gone. And Retaliate means when I deal them damage, they're going to deal 1 damage back to me. Yeah. Ant-Man was probably one of my favorites. It was just so. It was the first one that was. I don't know if it was the first one because Iron Man was still kind of funny, but it was the first one that was like had a lot of comedy in it, and it was more relaxed and less serious in it. I don't know. It was funny. And Paul Rudd is great. I love everything Paul Rudd does. Well, I haven't seen everything he does, but I love you, man. It was great. I just like Paul Rudd. Anyway, so that's the end of the villain phase. So now we're going to resolve this, advance the main scheme to stage 2. All right. So when we advance the scheme, the threat on it goes away. Kang reels back, but saves himself, separating the heroes through time and space. When revealed, place 1 acceleration token here for each side scheme in play, which is 0. Then discard each side scheme. Each player reveals a random stage 3A in turn order. Remove any unused stage 3 schemes from the game. All right, so stage 3. All right, there's a bunch of them. Let's get a random one and see what happened to us. All right, so usually when we're done reading that, we flip this over, and we have forced interrupt. When an acceleration token would be placed on another scheme, place it here instead. Players cannot join this game unless there are no other remaining game areas. Players cannot join this game area unless there are no other game areas remaining. When all players have joined this game area, advance this 4A. So again, this is probably better with multiple players because at this point it would separate all the players out, and then they have to basically kill their version of Kang to get back together and then finally take him out. But I hadn't played Kang before, so I wanted to see what he's about. All right, so the random one I got was, when revealed, create your own game area and place this scheme in it. Add Kang, Scarlet Centurion to the game area and deal yourself an encounter card. All right, so deal myself an encounter card. And we'll go get that specific Kang, Scarlet Centurion. All right, so he has a toughness. Where did my toughness card go? So he is tough. This villain's attacks gain piercing. I forget what that does. I think that ignores tough. When defeated, remove the present future war from the game. Oh, that's the scheme. At the end of the phase, join another game area. Okay, so that's, yeah, exactly. You have to kill each other to join back up. And the present future war usually has a story associated with it, but this one does not have the flavor text. So, forced response. After this stage is complete, which is going to take 9, and it starts with 2, and it's going to take 9 to complete it. After this stage is completed, place 1 set aside Kang's Dominion face down under stage 4A. At the end of the phase, remove Kang, Scarlet Centurion and this stage from the game and combine your game area with another game area. If all players at this stage are defeated, the stage is complete. Okay. So that was from me blocking him and killing him, and then we did finish it. So now it is my turn. So now I have 3 cards because I played 1 on the villain's turn. You don't get to draw up and redo all that stuff at the start of your turn. You only do it at the end of your turn. So if you use cards on the villain's turn, if you use your character to block, that's things you don't have for your turn. So this turn might be kind of a recovery turn. So I have a Hive Mind event that I can play if I'm tiny. That'll remove 2 threat from a scheme. Okay. I think 2 out of 9 isn't that bad, so I'm not really that worried about that. After my hero defends, I can discard this to ready him, and then I have this guy here that can heal me. It's a resource thing that it heals me if I'm giant or draws me a card if I'm tiny. I think I'm going to flip to tiny because, and even if you're exhausted, you can still switch states. So I'm going to switch to tiny. So Tiny Ant-Man says, after you change to this form, remove 1 threat from a scheme. So that's this here. So I'm going to take that down to 1. And now since I'm tiny, I can play. I can play this, but now there's only 1 threat there, so I don't think I really need to. I think I'm instead going to play this card. So this card here says it's a condition, and when my hero defends, I can discard this card to ready him again, so that I'll be able to use him on the turn. I'm going to pay for that card with this one. So it says hero response. After you spend this card, heal 2 damage from your hero if you are in giant form, or draw 1 card if you're in tiny form. So I'm in tiny form, so I get to draw a card. And I got a hero response, so I have to be in giant form to play this card, and I'm not. And then the other card I don't have enough resources for, so I'm done playing cards for the turn. Let's see what else we have out here. So I can use Ant-Man. He only attacks for 1 as tiny, so that probably wouldn't be the best use of him. If I'm in giant hero form, since I'm tiny, I can use this to, if I pay 2 lightning bolts, which I don't have, to confuse him, but I can't. So I think I'm done for the turn. I'm going to save him to block with. Actually, there's no reason to do that because he's going to untap anyway. So yeah, I'll go ahead and attack for 1. So I'm attacking for 1, and his hit points start at 18. And now he's at 17. So I hit him for 1, and now it's my turn. So I untap all my stuff, and now I get to drop to 5 cards. All right. So I've drawn my 5 cards, and now it's their turn. So up over here, it says this will get 1 threat every turn. 1. And then we're going to have, I got 2 minions and a dude attacking me. Oh, I can't, backing up for a second, I can't attack the villain because there's this guy with guard. So I attack him for 1. And then since I attack him for 1, he has retaliate 1, which means I take a damage as well. All right. So we've done the threat there, and now we're attacking because I'm in hero form. So that means I'm getting attacked for 3 plus 2, so he's attacking me for a total of 5. I can block 2 of it and take 3, so let's do that. I can ready him by discarding this card, which I will do. And then I'm just going to check my hand to see if there's any other responses that I can do when I block, and I do not. So that's his attack. Now, unfortunately, these other guys are just going to hit me. So I'm going to take 2 from this guy. And this guy's going to hit me for 1. When he attacks me, discard the top card of the encounter deck. Take indirect damage equal to the number of boosts. So I take 3 more damage. Holy crap. So I'm at 1 health. And now I deal a card to every player and then reveal these cards one at a time. Oh, what are you streaming tonight, Ruel? All right, so I got another minion attacking me. Quick strike means he's going to hit me right now and kill me. So that's that's it. No, hold on. I readied myself so I can block. So I'm going to block that so I don't die. And then when revealed, discard the highest cost card you control and place it face down under this card. So that's the only card I have. Alter ego action. I can pay an energy resource from my hand and discard this obligation. All right, so I just have to pay an energy resource to get that back. So that was both cards. So now it's my turn. I have 1 health, so I'm hurting here. So let me see what I can do. Team up Ant-Man and Wasp. I don't have Wasp out, so I can't do that yet. Hero response giant after I change to giant form, +1 attack. I'm not worried about attack right now. I'm going to have to go into Scott Lang form, but I'm just seeing if there's any hero cards I want to play before I do that. Hero action, remove 2 threat from a scheme. I can do that. Exhaust team building exercise, play a card from your hand if it shares a trait. That's a good card. I think I want to do that. So I'm going to, since I don't even have Ant-Man in my hand or in play, I'm going to discard this card for 1 resource. I'm going to discard this Hive Mind since I don't have any of these. It says I get an additional threat removed from a scheme for each army of ants I control, which I don't control any. So these are not optimum right now. So I'm going to use them for the resources, pay 2 to play this team building exercise. So now I have the hero action. I can exhaust this card to play a card from my hand that shares a trait, which is right now Avenger and Tiny. But so it's nothing right now, but I can do something later. I'm also going to do this. I got to flip to Alter Ego. So I'm going to use my action to flip to Alter Ego side, which after doing that, I get to heal 1. So now I have 2 health. And then I can do this Alter Ego action, discard a energy resource from my hand, and discard this obligation. So I get to discard that, and I can get this guy back. So I have Iron Fist left in my hand. At the end of your turn, you do have the option to discard any cards that you don't want in order to draw better. But I like them. I'm going to keep them. So I can now untap and draw. I get to draw up to 6. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so looks like next turn I might be able to do some fun if I survive this turn. So this scheme here is getting 1, so it goes up to 3. Kang is now going to scheme since I'm in Alter Ego form, and he's going to scheme for 0 plus 2. So that's going to add 2 on there. So now we're at 5. And then we're going to scheme here for 2 more for these guys. So 5, 6, 7. And then deal myself a card and play that card. So this is a side scheme. Rampage, when defeated. So side schemes are a little different in that they don't start low and then get up to a certain number. They start with a certain number, and then when you get all that off, then they go away. And they usually have some sort of detrimental effect that'll stay in play until you get rid of it. So when defeated, discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until a minion is discarded. Put that minion engaged with the player who defeated this scheme to play. So when I do that, I will get another minion to fight me, but it also has this icon, which is going to add 1 to the main scheme every turn. So there's little tokens to remind you. So now every turn this is going to get 2, which means if I don't take care of that this turn, it's going to get 2 more. It's going to go to 9, and then I guess I lose. I don't know. If all players at this stage are defeated, this stage is completed. After the stage is complete, so I won. Oh, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out what happens when this gets to 9. So it says forced response. After this stage is complete, place 1 set-aside Kang Dominion face down under the next stage. At the end of this phase, remove Kang Scarlet Centurion and this stage from the game and combine your game area with another game area. If all players at this stage are defeated, this stage is complete. So I guess I'm not sure what the threat on there does. Force to interrupt. Whenever an acceleration token will be placed on another scheme, place it here instead. So this is the acceleration scheme. So that's what this is doing. Players cannot join this game area unless there are no other game areas remaining. When all players have joined this game area, advance to stage 4A. So doesn't that mean I should be in stage 4A already? I think I got to kill him first. But I don't know. This probably isn't the greatest to play solo because it's very confusing. But anyway. My turn. So I have superpower, condition, tiny, ants. If I flip to hero form, he's going to attack me, which might kill me. But if I don't, he's going to scheme, which will also lose me the game. So I'm going to do... All right, I'm going to do a couple tricks real quick. I'm going to do... first, I'm going to recover 3 health so I don't die. And then I'm going to flip to tiny form. When I flip to tiny form, I remove 1 threat from a scheme. So let's remove 1 threat from there. Streaming Rule Benders tonight. It launched on Kickstarter today, and it's almost funded. Hand management area majority with a bit of flux thrown in. Oh, cool. So like rules changing and stuff. So I haven't heard of that, but we'll check it out. Rule keeps doing these advanced copies of Kickstarter, making me spend my money. That sounds cool. I think if I'm not correct, you're on at 7. If I'm wrong, let me know. But Rule is going to be streaming usually at 7, and he's streaming like every day of the week. I really enjoy the Friday morning streams where we just hang out and unbox stuff. But anyway, back to the game here. So I'm going to play Resize, change to another hero form and draw a card. So I'm going to change back to Scott Lang so I can gain another health. And then I'm going to do that. I can draw a card. And then I'm going to do it again. Resize, I'm going to go to giant form, deal 1 damage to an enemy. I'll deal 1 damage to this guy over here. And then he's still sideways, so I can't attack with him. But since I'm in, I draw a card. Hero response after you change it. Oh, that would have been nice to have before I did all that. Okay, so I have a bunch of cards now. And I think no matter what I do, I'm gonna lose here. So I'm not gonna think about it too hard. I'm just gonna play what sounds cool. So I think I want to try to do this guy here. Since he's been sitting here the whole time, I haven't been able to do anything with him. Hey, cool. I have this guy. Team building exercise. Play a card from my hand that shares a trait with my hero, reducing its cost by 1. Oh, so I'm gonna retroactively, when I was tiny, play this. So because when I was tiny, I shared a trait here, tiny. And now I have this action. When I'm in tiny form, I may exhaust this to deal a damage to the enemy. And I'm also going to retroactively deal that damage to this enemy, killing him. Then I switch to giant form and do everything else I said. So now I have, after he defends, I can ready him. I can't defend this turn since he's exhausted. No, he's going to untap. So you know what? I think I'm going to pay. I want to play that. So I'm going to pay these 2. They're really good cards, but I think I need to survive rather than play cool cards. So paying 2 to play Momentum Shift. So Momentum Shift is a hero action. Heal 2 damage for my hero and deal 2 damage to an enemy. So I'm back up to 8 health, and I will deal 2 damage to this soldier up here because I want to try to kill this guy with the next hit because he's going to hit me back, and I can't hit him until he's dead. So I'm going to try to wait until I can do 3 damage to him at once. And then and that's it for me. So now I get to untap and draw up to 4. And now it is the villain's turn. So the first thing that's going to happen is this is going to get 1. And this is going to get 1. I don't know what that means, but this game does a pretty good job of explaining what's going to happen as it happens. So I don't know what this means on there because usually it says when it has 9, this happens. It doesn't, but we'll figure it out. So got the threat. Now he's going to attack me for 3 plus 3. So he's attacking me for 6. I am going to block it. So I'm blocking 3 of it. And I'm going to play So I need to block all of it to ready my hero. I think I'm just going to take the 6 damage and put myself at 2 because I got 2 more villains to think about. And I have to block both of them or die. So I'll just take that 6. And then when this guy attacks me for 2, I will block and I will play this for 1. I'll play this Desperate Defense. When a hero defends against it, I get +2 defense. If I take no damage from that, I get to ready my hero so that he'll be able to block that other guy. So he'll block both of them. And then I have to draw a card. And when revealed, the villain schemes. So the villain's going to scheme for 0 plus 1. So that's 7 on here. All right, so that's that. Now it's my turn again. And I only have 2 cards to mess with, but I can switch forms. If I switch to Tiny, he's going to attack me, and I'm for sure going to die. So I kind of have to switch to Scott, which heals me for 1. And then I'm going to use him to heal me for another 3. Actually, I think I got tricks. So I'm in giant form. Start of my turn. Yes. And I'm tapped because I had block. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use this hero action. If I'm in giant form, I may exhaust Risk Gauntlets and spend 2 fist resources to stun an enemy. So that's going to stun him so that he can't attack me next turn. So I can stay in hero form safely. I have no cards left. If I'm in tiny form, I can exhaust Army of Ants and deal 1 damage to an enemy. So I will switch to tiny form, which will remove a threat, or remove 1 threat from a scheme. And then, since I'm tiny now, I can, in tiny form, exhaust Army of Ants to deal 1 damage to an enemy. And since he's not dealing the damage, the Army of Ants is, he doesn't get to retaliate against me, so I'll go ahead and take advantage of that. And he's still tapped because that's the way it works. Okay, so I got nothing else to do. I'm going to untap all my stuff. I get to draw 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're going to get 1 here and 1 here. He's going to attack me, but he's stunned, so he doesn't attack me, and now I have to survive these 2 guys hitting me, which I can barely survive. So I'm going to block this 2. I'm going to after my hero defends against an attack, you may deal damage to that enemy equal to my hero's attack, which is 1. So that's going to deal 1 damage to him, and he has retaliate 1, so I'm going to take a damage. Then I'm going to play for 1. I'm going to play this Desperate Defense. When defends against an attack, it gets +2 defense against attack. If I take no damage, I may ready my hero. So I can ready him because now I have to take 1 damage, which would kill me, so I have to defend against that as well. So now I've taken all that damage done, and I have to draw a card. And it is an obligation, forced response. After you use a basic hero power, take 1 damage. Alter ego action, I can pay a fist resource to discard this. All right. So that's his turn. Now it is my turn. I'm going to use this here. I am tiny form to play another one of these Army of Ants. And since it matches, it's 1 less, it's free. I can spend each of them to deal 1 damage to an enemy. So I'll use it to kill both of these guys. And I need to not die. So let's flip to Scott, which will heal me for 1. And then I get to untap and draw up to 6 cards. Whenever you use a basic hero power. I did not. I used. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So their turn. They're getting 1 over here. So this has 9 on it. So it is completed, but it doesn't tell me what to do when it's completed. So I'm not really sure what to do about that. It does say if all the players at the stage are defeated, this stage is completed. So I don't think anything happens. I'm guessing this will transfer somewhere after I kill him. So I'm just going to stick with my intuition that this game will trust the game to tell me what to do when I need to do it. So he is going to scheme for 0 plus 2. And then there's no minions. So then this guy is going to reveal, discard the highest cost card you control and place it face down under this card. So that's going to be this team building exercise. And then I can pay a energy resource from my hand while I'm in alter ego form to discard it. All right. So now it's my turn again. All right. Well, let's go gung-ho then. Let's just try to kill this guy. So he's got what? 18 damage. So I want to switch to Giant Ant-Man. And that's going to deal a damage to him, which will move his toughness card. Then I am going to pay 2. So this is 1 resource, but 2 if I'm playing a green card, which I'm playing a green card. Another momentum shift, which heals me for 2 and deals 2 damage to the enemy. So I get to go up to 4. And he's now at 16. And then I need 3, and I don't have 3. Dang it. Okay, so let's just put this over here so I keep track of that. I need to giant form. If I'm in giant form, I want to play this, but I don't have 3. I do have 2, so I can't do that. Maybe I should have gone tiny. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go tiny instead. So I'm going to go tiny, which means he gets his damage back. All right, so since I'm tiny, I'm going to pay 2 energy, tap this card to confuse him so that he cannot scheme. And then I'm going to pay this card, which is a wild, to get rid of this weakened condition, which will give me a damage for using my hero. And then since I used it while I was tiny, I get to draw a card. All right, so now I have a card. Didn't help. Okay, so now I can thwart, I can attack, or I can save him for defense. I have 4 health, and he's going to attack me for... I think I have to save him for defense. But I'm tiny, so I can attack for 2 more damage. So I'll hit him for 2 more. Bink, bink. And I have to save him for defense, otherwise I'm going to die. No, I don't, because he's going to untap at the end of my turn. So I always forget that. So I am going to actually... I think he's better off to thwart since the attack's only 1. So I'm going to thwart for 1. And then untap everything. Oh, and actually, while I'm at it, I have this. Oh, but I have to be alter ego for that, so I can't. All right, so untap, and I get to draw 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have a ton of resources next turn, but not much to do with it. All right, so then I'm hero form. So first thing's going to happen, he's going to get 1 here. 1 here, and then he's going to attack me for 3 plus 1, so he attacks me for 4, so I blocked 2 of it, so I take 2 damage. And I just make sure I don't have any blocking responses I can do, which I don't. And then I draw a card. So it's a King's Dominion, which should be set aside. I missed one, so sorry. Energy Blast. When revealed, alter ego. Discard this card. All right, so I'm not alter ego. So when revealed hero, King attacks me. So he's going to... I'm dead. Yep, attacks me for 3. I have no allies to block with. I'm already tapped. I don't have any tricks in my sleeve, so I die. Okay, well, anyway, that's my Ant-Man deck. I think it works despite the fact that I lost. I also think that Kang should probably not be played solo because he's very confusing. I'm going to read through the cards and see if I can't figure that out. But anyway, that was Marvel Champions, Ant-Man deck, and failure. I'll probably be doing another Marvel Champions stream next week and build another deck and play another game against probably Rhino. Rhino's a basic starting one. That's probably easy. Yeah, so I'll just probably do one of these a week until I have all my heroes built. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.